Good day everyone. Let us begin with one of the most critical areas of research, the ethical issues involved research subject. Ethics in research is about protecting the rights, dignity and well-being of the participants. The first principle is informed consent. This means participants must be fully informed about the purpose of the research, what is expected of them, potential risks and their right to withdraw at any time without penalty. Consent should be voluntary, never coerced. Second, researcher must ensure confidentiality and privacy. Participants often share sensitive information and it is the researcher's duty to protect their identity. Data should be stored securely and when reporting, individuals should not be identifiable unless they have explicitly agreed. Another important ethical issue is avoiding harm. Researchers should not expose participants to physical, emotional or psychological risk. For instance, questions about the traumatic experiences should be handled with sensitivity and support should be available if distress occurs. We also need to respect the principle of beneficence, which means the research should maximize benefits for participants and society while minimizing the risk. For example, a health study should not only protect patients but also contribute knowledge that can improve care. Ethical guidance are often formalized through institutional review boards or ethical committees, which review proposals before research begins. These boards ensure that studies meet ethical standards and that vulnerable groups like children, the elderly or marginalized population receive additional protections. In short, ethical issues involving research subjects remind us that participants are people, not data points. Respect, protection and fairness must always come before the pursuit of knowledge. Now, let's turn to the second subtopic, the limits on what to study. While research is about explaining the knowledge, not everything is ethically or socially acceptable to the investigate. Some studies may cause harm, violate privacy or conflict the cultural and moral values. For example, research that intentionally exposes participants to dangerous chemicals or that manipulates vulnerable individuals for profit would be unethical. Similarly, studying highly sensitive topics without safeguards such as illegal behavior or stigmatized health conditions can put participants at risk. There are also legal and cultural limits. Certain types of genetic engineering or experimentation on humans may be restricted by law. In some societies, studying topics like religion, sexuality or politics may be culturally sensitive and could endanger both the researcher and participants. Another consideration is misuse of power. Researchers must not exploit disadvantaged communities simply because they are easy to access. Ethical research requires relevance and respect. Study should benefit, not exploit the population being studied. Importantly, limits are not meant to suppress curiosity but to ensure research aligned with human rights, safety and social responsibility. Responsible researchers know that just because something can be studied does not mean it should be studied. In conclusion, setting limits on research protects both participants and society, ensuring that knowledge is pursued with ethical and moral boundaries. Finally, let us discuss ethics in the dissemination and use of research findings. Once data is collected and analyzed, researchers have a responsibility to share findings honestly, transparently, and responsibly. This means avoiding fabrication, falsification, or selective reporting of results. Even if findings are not what the researcher hoped for, they must be presented truthfully. Another issue is plagiarism and authorship. Researchers must give proper credit to others' work and ensure authorship reflects real contribution. Ghostwriting or honorary authorship violates ethical principles of honesty and fairness. Equally important is the question of who gets access to findings. Research funded by public money, for example, should benefit the wider community, not just private interest. Similarly, findings should not be deliberately withheld if they have the potential to improve health, education, or social well-being. Ethics also extend to how findings are applied. Research can be misused, such as data being taken out of context for political propaganda, discriminatory policies, or commercial exploitation. Researchers should consider the potential consequences of their work and strive to prevent harm from misuse. Finally, dissemination should be accessible and clear, and findings should be communicated not only to academic audiences but also to participants, stakeholders, and the general public when relevant. This ensures transparency. This ensures transparency and accountability. In short, the ethical responsibility of research does not end with data collection. It continues into how findings are reported, shared, and used. Knowledge must be applied for the benefit of society, never for harm.